Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
State of the division, heavyweights. Anthony Joshua's weight loss, Andy Ruiz surgery, and Deontay Wilder wins? Look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. We start with Anthony Joshua. He's preparing for his fight against Oslander Usyk, and he understands Usyk's movement is going to be a problem, so he plans to be trim and lean for the fight. Anthony Joshua stated, and I quote, "I'm looking trim for this fight. I'm fighting a guy who's a 12-round fighter, so it'd be silly of me to go in there with bulky muscles, my muscles screaming for oxygen. I'll be well conditioned to fight. That's the key," according to Sky Sports. And Anthony Joshua was absolutely right. You know, when he fought Andy Ruiz Jr. in their rematch, he was down 10 pounds from the initial fight, and he dominated Ruiz in the second fight. He was 237 pounds in that second fight. You know, when he fought Joseph Parker, he had lost 12 pounds from the prior fight against Carlos Takam, and he was down to 242, and he outboxed Joseph Parker, went 12 rounds, and did something many people didn't think he could do. So Anthony Joshua has shown the leaner he gets, the better he gets. And then you turn to Oslander Usyk, you see he's actually bulking up for the Anthony Joshua fight. He's putting on weight, he's putting on muscle, and obviously he's doing this to increase his punching power, to increase his ring presence. He wants to be a bigger guy. He feels adding weight, bulking up will help him. Now, the interesting thing about this with Oslander Usyk is we've never seen him this heavy before in the ring. And the major problem is we don't know how his timing will be carrying this much weight into a fight. For the first time in his career, going against an elite level fighter. Anthony Joshua is not just some regular fighter. He's an elite fighter. He's the best fighter in the heavyweight division. He's a unified champion. So you're going to come in at a very high rate, weight. As of right now, they have him weighing in over 230 pounds. His first fight in the heavyweight division, he was 215. In his second fight in the division, a 12-round decision against Derek Chisora, he was 217 pounds. Oslander Usyk could be sacrificing speed and timing for a little bit of power. We shall see if this pays off. It looks like a bad decision. Now, Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, history has shown the leaner Anthony Joshua gets, the better he boxes, the more dangerous he becomes. I mean, look, the guy virtually has no vulnerabilities when he boxes. The guy is a tactician because his power is always there, and he's an elite dual threat. But let's keep it going. Then you get to Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, Andy Ruiz Jr. has recently underwent a successful surgery on his right knee. He did this because of lingering knee issues that he's been having throughout his career that's been bothersome for him. And so at the end of the day, maybe that contributed as to why he looked so bad against Chris Arreola in that fight. At the end of the day, that was a rough fight for Andy Ruiz Jr. He got dropped in that fight. He looked very vulnerable in that fight. And, some people are contributing those knee problems to his performance. Now, before he had this surgery, Andy Ruiz Jr. was looking to come back and face Charles Martin in October, but that's being pushed to December with the same potential opponent, Charles Martin. Now, on the surface, it's a garbage fight. No one wants to see Andy Ruiz Jr. in another tune-up type of fight. But the interesting thing about this fight is Charles Martin is the highest-rated contender for the IBF belt. So if Andy Ruiz Jr. does beat this guy in what would be a low-level fight, it would boost him in the IBF rankings to where he could potentially get a shot as a mandatory against Anthony Joshua and create the trilogy. So I can understand the logic and reason behind it, and it actually makes a lot of sense. But let's keep it going. Then we get to Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder, is an odd guy. Him and his coach, Malik Scott, these guys gave interviews on what they believe is going to happen against Tyson Fury. And Malik Scott believes, and he stated, and I quote, "He will knock out Tyson Fury and will never lose another fight afterwards. Anthony Joshua or Usyk is next." So these guys, there's nothing wrong with being, in a belief that you're going to beat a guy and being confident in yourself. But there's a point where you're delusional. I mean, this guy is already thinking about Joshua or Usyk after Fury, thinking he's just going to knock him out. Well, wasn't that his plan in the last fight, that he was going to knock him out? Wasn't that his plan in the first fight, that he was going to knock him out? It didn't happen in either fight. So at some point, you have to be smart enough to realize that I might not be able to knock this guy out. What is my backup plan? You can't be the same moron thinking that I have to win the same way every single fight. You have to make adjustments, you idiot. Not only that, this is the same Deontay Wilder thinks that he's not going to ever lose another fight. If you do get past Tyson Fury, and that's a huge if, you still have Anthony Joshua, the best heavyweight in the division, who can box and punch, unlike Tyson Fury. This man will destroy you. He will rip you a new asshole. But yet Deontay Wilder is the same guy who got a dent in his head against Tyson Fury, who's not anybody's big puncher. No one believed this guy's a big puncher, and he left you with a dent in his head. And not only that, Deontay Wilder even had to accuse this guy and the Athletic Commission of cheating, which is delusional. Even his own trainer, he got the sense beat out of him. And then after that, this guy started twerking in the streets. So you telling me this is the guy that's never going to lose again? You gotta be dreaming. I mean, Deontay Wilder is proof that you can't fix stupid. Because men lie, women lie, but the facts don't lie.